News.
While frontrunners Mitt Romney and Newt Gingrich have had their records picked apart by both the media and each other, there is one candidate who has largely been given a pass so far, Texas Congressman Ron Paul. However, with strengthening poll numbers in Iowa, his unique outlook on a number of issues is starting to receive a little more attention from his opponents.
The only person I know who's for a weaker military than Barack Obama is Ron Paul. And we ought to be honest about this. His positions are fundamentally wrong on national security. I do not agree with him that America is at fault for 9/11. I do not agree with him that we can ignore an Iranian nuclear weapon. And I do not agree with him that it's okay if Israel disappears.
Correspondent Shannon Bream tonight digs a little deeper into Ron Paul's record.
Republican Congressman and 2012 contender Ron Paul isn't afraid to speak his mind, including this recent accusation leveled against his Capitol Hill colleague and rival for the GOP nomination, Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann.
She doesn't like Muslims. She hates Muslims. She wants to go get them.
Wow.
Bachmann unequivocally denied the assertion, calling it absolutely outrageous. But it's just the latest in a string of Ron Paul controversies that dates back decades. He's well known for his positions on foreign policy that his critics term isolationist, and his call for an end to the war on drugs, which he said benefits no one. Paul is facing new questions about newsletters from the 1980s and 90s that were published under various names, like Ron Paul's Freedom Report and the Ron Paul Investment Letter, and contain lines like this one referring to the 1992 riots in Los Angeles, quote, "Order was only restored in L.A. when it came time for the blacks to pick up their welfare checks." Though Paul has touted his newsletters in the past,
I also put out a political type of business investment newsletter.
He has since denied writing and in some cases even reading some of the newsletters that bore his name. After being pressed repeatedly about it this week, Paul had enough.
I didn't write them. I didn't read them at the time, and I disavow them.
These things are pretty incendiary, you know.
Because of people like you.
And now Ron Paul wants us to believe he didn't know anything about these newsletters, even though he was profiting from them.
And then there's this, Paul talking about the man he terms the whistleblower behind WikiLeaks.
Should he be locked up and in prison? Or should we, see him as a political hero? Maybe he is a true patriot who reveals what's going on.
I mean, this kind of thing, if again, said by anybody else, Rick Santorum, Michelle Bachmann, Rick Perry, John Huntsman, Mitt Romney, Newt Gingrich, if any one of them had said this, that it would be on the front page of the newspaper.
Analysts say most GOP contenders don't take Paul seriously enough to spend any of their campaign cash on ads highlighting his edgy positions, and that the statements actually work against him with the GOP base. While it may be unlikely that Paul will be the GOP nominee, some experts believe he will have a significant impact on who ultimately is.
My sense, like the last time, he stayed in the race all the way. He'll have delegates this time, and he can play some kind of a role if the race is close.
In Washington, Shannon Bream, Fox News.
More on this with the panel. Up next, our California